The Baylor Bear Hotline is sponsored by Richard Carr Motors, people you can count on. David Smoke with Dave Aranda, Baylor football coach on 365 Sports. First of all, great to see you again. And what was the most non-football event or hobby or whatever you did during the off season?
Well, yeah, it's good to see you. Reading, I think, reading would be the thing. The ability to kind of have your time to learn something new, or rather revisit things that you thought you knew but you really didn't know, and then just see how all of it connects to other things is something I've always really enjoyed. And so, the quiet time in the morning, maybe the ride in or the ride back in the evening. I listen to books on tape or on the drives, but in the mornings, a lot of just reading, just straight books, and then the note taking and things, and then trying to apply that stuff is way cool.
What is the most, what's the difference in you now entering year 4 as a football coach, a head coach, than it was in 2020? And I know 2020 was unique circumstances.
A lot more comfortable. I think, starting in 2020, you'd be talking to coaches that were head coaches in the past, or maybe head coaches for you, and you'd bring up situations. Hey, what'd you think? How'd you do this? And I remember some of those being in some of those circumstances that were kind of brought up in those talks, and I'm trying to remember the ABC 1, 2, 3 that they told me, and that wasn't always the case, but probably more than what I would like it to be. That was the case. And so just that whole process of finding yourself and kind of now going into year 4 and having an idea of kind of this, I think it's still good to reach out and talk to people, because you can kind of juxtapose kind of your thoughts now on theirs, and this is why they did theirs, and this is why I'm feeling I'm due mine, and you can weed out any ego or any of the stuff that's kind of behind the scenes there lurking. So, it's better to have a foundation than to be looking for one, for sure.
You mentioned you might have been too lenient last year, coming off the best year ever in Baylor football. You seem to be somebody that when you trust somebody, you trust somebody. Loyalty, commitment, and all that. Did that bother you that perhaps some took advantage of you?
No, I appreciate the question. I think, the leniency probably came just with not suspending guys, not kicking guys off the team. I think, I'm very much from the school of just my own personality, and just a lot of the folks that I read or I spend a lot of time in my head with, I guess would be the best way of saying it. Whereas you only got to tell me once, or you don't have to tell me. You have to tell Rick or John, and I'll see it, and I got it, and that's not always, the fellas on our team, and so a lot of times they're the opposite of that, and they need to they have to burn their hand to know that the stove is hot. And I think, we would have, whether it's, a study hall at night, or it's something after a game, or it is maybe even, a suspension from a practice, but what I never, we would always have those things, but I don't think the bite there was a big enough bite. I think it was probably too much of a bark. And so the suspension from games, which we eventually did at the end of the year, but by that point, really, it was too late. And then I think just the having the process to where, hey, in order for me to be me, and in order for us to be us, these are the boundaries, these are the limits, and this is what happens when you do this. This is what happens if it happens again, and then there's not going to be a third time. And so I think all of those are helping us now.
It wasn't anything that was like criminal. It was mainly just team policy,
Correct.
Things like that can just eat away at a locker room.
Correct. Yeah. I think, to be a part of a team, you have to give up bits and pieces of yourself to the team. And I think, especially the way that we do it, with just the academic part being so big, and then the character growth being such there are dudes that just want to play football. And we try to make that real clear in recruiting visits and everything else, that it's going to be so much more. It's life, school, and football in that order. And here's what that means, and I think the painting of the picture now in recruiting is so much clearer, and it helps that some of them, I mean, there's dudes that didn't sign up for this that were on the team when I came on and fully understand that, and I think it's such a triumph when you can get guys that didn't sign up for it to believe in it and to really grow and transform in it. I think a lot of times that's looked upon maybe as not a thing. I think that's a huge thing because it's just so easy to give me the guys that I recruited. But then I think on the other side of it, the COVID recruiting was awfully hard too, because I think you didn't have the in-person visits. I think I fully didn't recognize kind of what I valued and who I was, and so I think a lot of it is getting guys to look at parts of themselves that they've been running away from a while, and so to do that on a football team is maybe not something that they wanted to do.
There's a lot of great competitions, positions, whatever, but the quarterback QB1, last year you made a decision that was beneficial to everybody, including Gary, who eventually found another location in Florida. Is it different this year with Blake and Sawyer Robertson? Is that one that it's going to carry over, and not that you won't have a 1A, but carry over into the fall?
No, I appreciate that. I think Blake, his growth as a leader, Blake's growth, as a passer, just understanding kind of, hey, this is the reason why we're calling this. These are the things that we've been working on. I'm applying them in the moment. All of that is really kind of taken off, and so that's way cool to see. And there's times where it's we've been having a lot of call-outs. I think on the other side of this question, the other question for spring, I think would be, Pallage and the new coordinator. And so we've had a lot of call-outs. So, and that's really for Pallage, so that, hey, here's the situation. It's a critical thing, right? Make a call. Got to make a call. And so in a lot of those call-out situations gets to be competitive, and you could just see Blake really just, it's a different Blake, and it's the leader Blake. Cool to see. And so that's just been a long time coming with that. But then, with Sawyer, I think like the enthusiasm he brings and the eagerness, and so we have this is probably a bad comparison to take, but it just reminds me of it, and forgive me. But we have a new puppy now at the house, and it's just so hard. Easter break, a lot of the break I was alone with the puppy, and I was just counting the hours to Dion. My wife came home so that I'll say we could do it together, but she could really help with this puppy, and it's just so much attention and just. But what's cool about it is that just so excited to see you. Like you are, and there's a lot of that with Sawyer. That attitude of just every day, no matter what the thing is. His energy and just it is contagious, way contagious. I think that helps us. As coaches, sometimes we get in it, even in a spring, and the energy that Sawyer has is real, and I think he sees everybody, and to make a big play, he's the first there to congratulate, and so I think everybody's doing their thing, and I think the improvement with Blake is real, and I think Sawyer is going to continue to learn and grow, and so I feel good about the quarterback room.
At Wisconsin, you were known for elite linebacker play, LSU elite defensive back play, and not that others weren't good too. What do you want your identity to be on defense at Baylor, or to be known for?
Execution. Yeah, I think that would be one. I showed a clip today of just trying to find different ways, but I remember as a kid watching Indiana Jones, and there's a scene of Indiana Jones. He's in a crowded marketplace, and there's a swordman, and he's doing all these tricks with the sword, and he's flipping the sword, this and that. So prior to the clip, I said October, November, December. That's what we would like to be, Indiana Jones, in that scene where here's some swordmen doing all this thing. So that would be throughout the week. Hey, this offense is this and this. Hey, this defense has amassed this and this and this. And then we get to the Saturday, and we pull out the revolver and we take our shot, and that's it. And we just kind of do what we do, And I think in a real unassuming way, it's kind of, And so I think it takes so much work to do that, because I think if we don't have a foundation of do simple better and execution and all of it, then we're trying to distract with how many times can we flip our sword. And so I think it's difficult, especially for coaches having maybe the Easter break and 4 days off, to kind of be in it, then have a break, and then be back into it again. It can be, hey, I've got this play, I've got that play, where the emphasis needs needs to continue to be on, dude, if we got to reach a guy, let's reach him. Let's get the footwork and the eyes right to do it. If we got to cover a guy man-to-man, let's cover him. Let's have our shuffle and our skate, right? And the end point of the route as good as the start point of the route. And I think the more we focus on that, especially with a young team, the more October, November, December can maybe be like that movie.
Did you come up with the Indiana Jones analogy? Was that,
yeah. I was watching, I think, during the break, there came out with there's going to be a new Indiana Jones movie, so that just made me remind me of that scene. It's been quite a while.
All right, so NIL, there was a thought that there might be a market correction after it came out. It doesn't appear to be the case. How does that affect Baylor in football and recruiting?
I think our recruiting has been culturally based. It's been education in life, education with school, the benefits of all of that. And really kind of that it's, dude, life is hard. It's not a lot of stuff's going to be given to you. And then getting to the football part of how we can maximize your strengths, help with your weaknesses, and really kind of feature you, And you look at like some of those defenses in the past that you talked about, those were all... Every year was kind of different because the roster was different, and we featured those guys, And so, all of this kind of stems to the do simple better, and the coaches getting out of the way, and the players play the game, and it's a player's game. So really, recruiting's been those three things, and to get people on campus for them to see it. Because I think what's hard about all of that is that people say that, and I don't know if that's always the case. And to try to open everything up here to where they can see all the in between has been a strength, And so, NIL ends up being a factor with all of it, when we're on the team and guys feel like, hey, this is the thing. I'm a part of the thing, right? I'm not forgotten. I've got resources now where I can help my family, or I can help this, and I can learn how to manage this stuff now that I got. Like, I see it that way, and I know that Mac and our whole athletics department sees it that way, and I feel like to do it the way we're doing it, it takes a lot of discernment in terms of guys we're looking at. It takes relationships. It probably takes parents. But I think in the long run, it's the best way.
Would you, if someone asked you at the beginning of a recruitment what they can have for NIL, continue to recruit them?
I would, yeah. I think there probably have to be some more than that, but I would, yeah. Okay. And so we've recruited some guys that have done that, and so I think you want it to be, I think for them to succeed and for them to really kind of flourish, it's just got to be more than that.
Yeah.
And so for them to start off with it is fine.
Wide receivers and defensive backs struggled last year. How do you really know if they're better during practice, like in spring, rather than an opponent, which you won't see until September?
Yeah, I mean, I think one is just the attitude of the guys, just the look in their eye, their energy at practice. There's a vibe, man. So there's an energy, It's I think like if you and I were walking down the street and we just saw. You could pick guys. You can pick people out. People that are walking with some type of intentionality. Like, this dude's going somewhere. There's another dude that's just wandering, right? And it's just he's wandering. And so that's the same way with ball. It's the same thing. And so the guys that have that intentionality, that are on a mission, I'm doing this today, I'm doing that. So when you have that in your room, that's a way strong thing. And I feel like both sides right now have it. I think the other thing would be just the execution of just the base stuff. And so, it's a way simple game, and ego makes it complicated. And if the base fundamentals are not there, then it's basically makeup on a pig, and you find different ways to kind of to doll it up as best you can. And so the less the less you're pulling out to put on top or cover up or dress up or doll up, the better it is. And so right now we're at a good stage with that it's just base stuff.
I know you got to go, but 20 was a struggle, 21 was elite, 22 was a disappointment, I guess is probably the word. It just didn't finish right, and you've given a lot of reasons why. Does that mean it's up and down down, or you want it to be like this, right? I mean, just a
Yeah, you'd like to. I appreciate the question. You'd like to build it to where it, there's a great standard and a great expectation, and that guys are working towards that daily. But for that to take the place, like, I need to be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I think our coaches have to be that, and then our veteran players, guys that have been through the system, they have to do that. And I think days like today where there ain't really it's a walkthrough day. We've got installs. We got a practice coming up on whatever day and a scrimmage coming up on whatever day. But not playing for those days, not just thinking about those scrimmage days or practice days, but making the most out of today and how can I get better. Those are the views that we did not have last year, and that was a continued fight to try to get. The previous year we did have, and so to try to get that right and get it right now, I think we can help build and solidify, that type of program we all want.
I was watching an Arnold Palmer special today. He mentioned the most rewarding things you do in life are often the ones that look like they cannot be done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to be in it but not be of it. I just think of what makes Baylor special, and to be way successful in college football and to do it the way that we want to do it, and to ask more of our guys with school and just how they're treating people and just all of it. And to not just focus on ball. I just think, or just for them to see that, hey, when these things happen to you as a person, that drives, that coalesces, and it will drive you to be a better player. And I just think it's just so hard. I think we all want on and off switches. Mm-hmm. We all want things that we do in the dark that don't ever come to the light. And so I just think, I know for me, I mean, I try to be out in front with that as much as I can. And a lot of times it's way humbling for me and embarrassing for me, but I just think if I'm out there trying and failing and growing and all of it, I'm hoping, I would like for them to see that, and for them our team and for our coaches to put themselves out there and do it, because I think once we get it, man, it'll be way special, and we're aiming for it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Dave Aranda, Baylor football coach on 365 Sports. So we heard about